Okay, Swampwatch 1:15:20. You're at the Watchman page. It's just to start out. I'm not selling anything. I don't charge any fees for anything I do. I don't monetize the videos. And I don't accept donations. All that I ask is if you learn anything here that you benefit from, if you profit from the advice we give you here on what you should be doing with your assets, that you pay it forward. Give a percentage of whatever you make forward. Putting others first. Now, I was called by God in 2000, basically as a watchman, to warn people of a few things. The first ever worldwide economic collapse that's on our doorstep any day. The draining of the swamp that's about the same place. Worldwide swamp. The exposure of the worldwide satanic pedophile ring, which Ricky Gervais alluded to at the Golden Globe Awards, also showed me physical silver and Litecoin as a way to protect ourselves from what's coming with the economy. Showed me a couple other things. Showed me Carbon 60. That's something I think everybody should look at. It's a supplement. You can get it at Amazon. I use good and cheap Carbon 60 in olive oil. It's, I think, $18 for a 100 ml bottle that lasts a week. Showed me that President Trump had the hand of God on him, guiding and protecting him. And basically kind of gave a blueprint for what we can do to counteract what's coming, and then what comes next. It's hard for most people today to understand the economy. Number one, I don't think the economists understand the economy. From what you hear on CNN, everybody thinks the economy is wonderful, the best ever. That's far from the truth. And it's not President Trump's fault. It's just the reality of what we're left with as a result of the Federal Reserve being in business for over 100 years. They basically bled us dry. A U.S. dollar was 100 cents in 1913 when the Fed was started. Actually, it was started in 14. It was voted in 13. So in that little over 100 years, it went from 100 cents, I think we're like 2 or 3 cents now, is what the dollar compared to 1913. So we basically had our dollar eroded, and we're about to lose that last 2 or 3 cents. Been fighting a cold for the last few days, so bear with me. So what does that mean to us? What it means is, well, just to kind of put it in perspective, in 1929, the Great Depression, only 30% of the population in America was impacted by the Depression. And you hear horror stories today about how it was and how brutal it was. That was only 30%. And the rest of the world was probably 5 or 10%, maybe. It wasn't, the world was a different place back then. That's almost 100 years ago. today, when this happens, there's no one on earth that's not going to feel the impact, one way or another. Everybody is going to lose something when this happens. Basically, all paper assets will go to zero. Derivatives, stocks, bonds, money market accounts, pension funds, 401ks, retirement accounts, Social Security's. I get my first check next week, I think. I don't know how many I'm going to see. I don't think very many. But that's okay. The Fed has to be shut down. That President Trump is in the process of doing that. Before his second term is over, the Federal Reserve will be closed. And we'll go back to our Treasury printing our money like we should have been doing for the last 100 years. We'd be in a whole different spot if that hadn't happened. But it's been the constant attack because it's all a part of the globalist agenda. The first thing you need to realize is everything's connected. We basically have the same evil group of people, these satanic pedophiles. And I'm not saying this lightly. We're talking about people like the Pope, the royal family. Prince Andrew just was at Pedo Island. I mean, it wasn't recently, but it came out recently. Former U.S. presidents, several of them, 3 at least. Obama, Bush, Clinton. Clinton's been to Pedo Island 20-something times. Pedo Island. What is a former president going to a place like that for? Hillary Clinton's been there many times. Epstein was running a honeypot. He's working for the CIA and Mossad. And he has thousands of hours of video of the most powerful, wealthiest people in the world. People like presidents, people like princes and popes. Thousands of hours of the most disgusting video ever recorded. And this isn't just pedophilia. When I'm saying satanic pedophilia for a reason. Because these monsters torture and murder children in their rituals. And that's what you're going to find out. That's what you're going to see when this all gets exposed. Well, you can imagine what that would do to the economy, let alone everybody's state of mind, because it's cognitive dissonance is going to be epidemic when this stuff all comes out. Just think about, all of you should do some research on frazzle drip. You can actually see it right now on the dark web. If you go right now, you can watch it. I don't recommend that. You don't want to download it for sure. It's horrific. It shows Hillary Clinton and Uma Abedin and a guy in a white lab coat sexually assaulting, torturing to death an 8-year-old girl. I'm not even going to go into the details because it'll make you sick. Just understand that this isn't a one-time thing. They have hundreds of these on video. It's all going to come out. When these people are arrested, when they're going to trial, the evidence is people are going to be able to see the evidence. They'll have websites where people can go to see this stuff. They want the world to know what was going on. Anybody who committed murder, anybody who committed treason is going to be executed. And we're talking about hundreds in Washington alone. Right now, there's 140,000 sealed indictments nationwide. You can look it up on the DOJ website. The average is about 3,000 a year, give or take. The average, 3,000. There's 140,000 right now. People thought President Trump, there was nothing going on. There's a lot been going on. I think they had over 500 prosecutors working on this the last 3 years. And it's all about ready to go down. Days or weeks. I don't know how we can get through February. I think a lot's going to happen by the end of the month, by the end of January. I think the economy might not make it to the end of the month. It might be next month or later for the arrests to start. I'm thinking at the latest early summer. And we got to remember, we've got the 2020 election. This is going to happen before then. Has to. They cannot let this go to the 2020 election. The economy's so weak, a stiff breeze will blow it over. There's 50 triggers that could bring it down in a heartbeat. But this isn't bad news. It's really good news because we're going to clear out all these criminals. Clear them out of government, out of politics, the judicial system, the media. There's a bunch going to go from the media. Don Lemon went to Pedo Island. Jake Tapper went to Pedo Island. Chris Cuomo went to Pedo Island. Why do you think they're screaming so loud trying to get President Trump, lying through their teeth every single day? Because they know if they don't take him down, they're going to be executed for the things they've done. They could get him on treason. If you're conspiring, which the media has been conspiring with the deep state and elements of our government to take down President Trump, that's treason. People are going to be executed. Many people are going to be executed for this. And it has to happen. They need to be executed. We're going to rid the evil from the world. The evil that's caused every war the last 300 years, every terrorist attack, every school shooting, these people are responsible for. And you'll find out all of it is going to come out. Everything that's hidden will be known. We're gonna find out the truth, the real truth about JFK, his assassination. We're going to get the real truth about 9/11. It's not what you think. These weren't planes that brought the buildings down. I just reposted, I think both to the Watchman page of my website, Everything's a Rich Man's Trick. Everything is a rich man's trick. I just posted it. Every American needs to see this video. And I know it's long. It's like 3.5 hours, just under 3.5 hours. I've been doing this now for over 5 years. I have over 25,000 hours of research in. It would take you 60 hours to get the same amount of information if you tried to go out on the internet and search it up yourself. And then you still probably wouldn't get it all. This is the best video I've ever seen in all the time I've been doing this as a way to get people to understand what's really happening. It's riveting. If you care anything at all about your country, you got to look at this video. It'll open your eyes. It's the best thing I could do for you, honestly, is get you to watch this video. And then once you do, then you're going to be on board with what we're doing, because we've been lied to since Babylon. These monsters have controlled the world since Babylon, and that's all about to change. When this goes down, when they arrest Hillary, or when it just happens on its own, this economy's done. If you have some assets outside the system, you're going to do very well. And when I say outside the system, I mean cryptocurrencies, which are the future of money. And we recommend Litecoin here. There's, I think, a couple of thousand cryptocurrencies now. Litecoin is in the top three. The top three, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. I believe Litecoin is going to have the best return on investment, not only of any cryptocurrency, but of any asset in history. The analysts believe that Litecoin you can buy for, I think, right this afternoon was in the high 50s. So for $60, say, you can buy a Litecoin, one Litecoin. Analysts believe by 2024 that Litecoin will be worth $3 million. I think that's conservative. I think it's going to be more. With Litecoin, there's only 84 million in the world. That's it, 84 million. 64 million about have already been sold. So there's only 20 million left, and there's 7.5 billion people in the world. When this blows, you won't be able to get it, because that last 20 million is going to be gone in a snap of a finger. Because everybody is going to be running for safe havens. And it's precious metals, physical silver is what we recommend here. It's going to outperform gold at least 8-1 based on historical averages. And I'll probably get into that in a minute. So for less than $1,000, if you buy, however you want to split up, at least, say $400 in Roosevelt dimes is what I recommend. If you're only going to invest $1,000, and then $600 in Litecoin, you probably could retire in 4 years and never work another day in your life and have twice of everything you lost, at least, for $1,000 or less. I mean, just think about it. If you can get a Litecoin worth $3 million in 4 years for $60, that's 10 Litecoin. 10 Litecoin would be 30 million. I know these numbers sound crazy, but you have to remember, when the people find out the truth, when the banks close, when these criminals are removed, no one will want, and then people see what they've done, how they've done it, and this is all scam. This is all ripoff. No one will. Banks are obsolete. That's the beauty of cryptocurrency. Is cryptocurrency makes banks obsolete. They know it, and that's why they're so scared, and that's why they badmouth it. But it is the future. It's more secure than your bank account. It's faster. It's more efficient. You can, all over the internet, you can pay all your bills. I mean, it is the future, guys. And like I said, Litecoin is what God showed me. And it's not just that God showed me. It's that in all this research I've done, the more research I do, the more I believe what God showed me. It's just reinforcing every day, what I was shown over 5 years ago. I get people all the time, well, I don't have, and I'm broke. Listen, $20 could change your life. Just think, if you do 30, that's $1.5 million. 20 would be $1 million. Tell me where in history you could invest $20 and in less than 5 years have $1 million. It's unheard of. It's the timing of this thing. You're getting on the ground floor. Probably 2%, 5% tops of the world knows anything about cryptocurrencies. And then half the people that know about them don't really know what they should be doing. They're just fumbling around, because it's so new. There aren't a lot of people that really understand it yet. That's a good thing if you're getting in early. Trust me. That's why we're going to see these skyrocketing values, because of the timing of this thing. It's coming. This is biblical. You couldn't have this come at a better time in world history than right now, in 2020. When you look at all the other circumstances, this is all coming together for a reason. All these things are going to happen within weeks of each other. The economy, the swamp, the pedophiles, all come out within days or weeks of each other. Just think about that. And how that's going to impact the world. How it's going to change the world. All the hidden technology that's going to be released. 0-point energy. Anti-gravity technology. We're going to be in flying cars in 5 or 10 years. All of this, cures for cancer. Cures for almost every disease known to man. They've got all that stuff. It's been suppressed because there's no money in cures. And these criminals were running the system. You know, just for an example, look what President Trump did with these, the drugs that they're testing. Now, it always made sense to me. You know, you got somebody who's dying of cancer, and there's some new drug that might help them, but they can't give it to you because it's still in testing. Does that make any sense to you? It doesn't. And it's because they don't really want to have a cure for cancer. The people running the show. That's all changing. President Trump, look what he did. He made it available with an executive order. He is the complete opposite of what the satanic globalists are. I get people all the time that want to tell me that, no, he's a rich guy. He's on the inside. He's one of them. That's moronic. Explain how. Why? Hillary Clinton was set to walk into the presidency. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to sweat a thing until Donald Trump stepped forward. And they did. You notice all the attacks? You know why they attacked him? Because in the whole field, he was the one they knew they couldn't control. They figured they could buy everybody else. Most of them they already had bought. So they wanted to shut him down. They wanted to make sure that he didn't get through the process. And it just kept getting worse and worse for him. Listen, he's done more. For 300 years, the globalists have been working on this plan, and they were in the last part. I mean, last couple of years before they were taking us down. President Trump, in 3 years, has destroyed everything they worked 300 years to get. So tell me again how he's on the inside. Because they're pulling their hair out. And now they're peeing their pants because they know he's coming for them. They're all going down. And not just the puppets like Obama and Clinton, but the top dogs, the Pacers, the Queen, the Pope, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. They're all going down. And that 99% of the wealth that they hold is going to be stripped from them. The Bible says everything that's been taken from you will be returned sevenfold. Paraphrasing. That's where all this money's coming from, guys. That's why we're going to get those returns. Because the big story is God wants his new church to be built on the foundation of Litecoin and physical silver. The Watchmen, we are buying up as much physical silver and Litecoin as we can. Right now, as Watchmen, we're paying it forward by reaching out to others and trying to red pill them, trying to wake them up and get them prepared. We're going to pay it forward during the rough patch when the economy collapses with extra food and water for people that aren't prepared and that can't get it. And then we pay it forward in the recovery and on and forward forever with our assets that we've gained from this physical silver and Litecoin. God hasn't been happy with his church, with the Catholic Church, with churches in general. These mega pastors, these 501c3s, God doesn't want governments running his church. He never intended his church to be in a building. When Jesus was on earth, he called it the way. And the way was meeting in people's homes, wherever you decided to meet, in the streets. It was more about how we treated each other and how we lived our lives every day. That was the way. The ultimate goal was living your life in the service of others. That was the way. That's what we're doing. in The Watchmen, where, first off, number one, right now, we're Watchmen. We're getting people prepared for this. And then the next phase is, setting the example for God's new church. The church that he wants, not that man wants. That's the problem. Man corrupted this whole thing. Corrupted the Bible. Corrupted what God wanted his church to be. And he's coming back. I'm not sure exactly when, but I think in this decade, I'm pretty sure. I've kind of felt this the whole time, and I wouldn't say it because I just didn't have enough confirmation. And here, just the last few weeks, I'm pretty sure this decade, before 2030, he's coming back. And we got to be ready. First of all, we got to get through this, right? We have to get through this, whatever we're facing, whatever turmoil's coming, we've got to get through it. The good news is, this is a really difficult spot, because I personally don't think, in America especially, I think America is going to get through this pretty clean. I think even the people that don't have extra food and water are probably going to get through this okay, because I think if President Trump keeps the power on and keeps food in the grocery stores and can keep order on the streets with the Marines and the National Guard, we'll get through this fine. And there will be martial law declared when this goes down, just for everybody's security and safety. Because there will be radical Muslims running around. They're going to release sleeper cells. That's the other thing. Got to be ready for that. That's coming when the arrests start, I'm pretty sure. But as far as big things, my gut feeling is that God is for sure protecting America. And I think maybe the world might. I was really worried about the EU. The EU, the Middle East, places in South America where they're having trouble in most of South America, Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, Chile. Oh my God. You go around the world, and that's the other thing. Look what's happening around the world. Just look. The EU, they're rioting all over, almost every country in the EU. Spain, Portugal, Iran, Hong Kong, China. It's hard to find a place in the world that there isn't civil unrest. People are fed up. President Trump has awoken something in the world, and it's not changing. This is full speed ahead. I think it's way more than just a criminal justice issue. This is to the core, I think. This is world changing. We're going to go from a pretty violent world, especially right now in the last 10 years, to I've been saying, if you left Earth today and came back in 5 years, you wouldn't recognize it. You won't recognize it. And 10 years is going to be even more amazing. The things that are coming are, I think that's the other thing, guys. We talked about discernment last night, and I think that's probably the most important asset you could have right now is your discernment, your critical thinking skills. You have to analyze everything and you'll discover with 9/11, because I watched it with my own eyes. Oh wow, those planes took those buildings down. I can't believe they could do that. I couldn't believe they came down the way they did. Well, they didn't. But I bought it hook, line, and sinker. That will never happen again. Guaranteed. The CGI they have is so good. They can make a rocket look like a plane or a drone look like a commercial jetliner crashing into a building. That's how good it is. When you watch this video, everything's a trick for the rich man, or like whatever. I think that's it. Everything's a rich man's trick. That's what it is. You'll kind of understand. 9/11 was the Pearl Harbor event to ramp up our patriotism, to then turn us loose on Afghanistan and the Middle East, so they could keep their heroin running, and then strip the wealth of all the Middle East countries they could. They're criminals. That's all over. The, I keep saying I couldn't write a better script. People, when they hear those things, right? They hear a former president or several former presidents getting arrested, or they hear the worldwide economy coming down, and all of a sudden, because they don't understand what that means, it's panic, and it shouldn't be. Our goal is to wake people up with as little fear as possible. And that's a really tough order because people just naturally go there. But we have to have that in mind, because think about the liberal who supported the Clintons for 30 years. I mean, maybe lost friends over them. And then telling us, their friends, that all of these Pizzagate and Benghazi and Fast and Furious, all those were just conspiracy theories, or there was nothing to them, and they didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, well, guess what? All of it's coming out, and all of it was bad, and they're all going down. It's better than what the alternative would have been, which basically would have been a nuclear war or civil war. If Hillary wins, it's a whole different ballgame. I started this 5 years ago. Obama was president. Hillary was going to be next. That's how it looked on the surface. Every day, I was trying to figure out how we could get to the point we are right now without losing millions of people. And I just couldn't see a way. It was going to get bloody if Hillary won the election. And what happens? Here comes Donald Trump. That was, up to this point, the biggest upset in history, because it was fixed. They weren't worried. I mean, could any of you watch the rallies in 2016 and see the massive crowds Donald Trump at the time was getting, candidate Trump, and then looking at Hillary's rallies, and she had what? 60% fewer rallies, and then when she had them, she could hardly fill up a gym, get a couple hundred people to show up, and he would pack 30,000 seat stadiums, and there would be tens of thousands outside waiting. And they weren't concerned because they controlled the voting. They were going to beat him at the ballot box, not by votes, but by stuffing. They sorely underestimated what was happening. And if you don't see God's hand in that, how do you win a rigged election? God, that's how. Where was I going? I had such a good. Anyway, So President Trump wins. Oh, how we got here. I still think it could get bad. Every move he's made, that's why I say he's got the hand of God on him. He hasn't made a mistake. It's been flawless. And anybody's not doing it needs to follow Q, because Q is a big part of this. Q is the reason that we're seeing the response in the world. It was brilliant. This whole thing, they're going to analyze it forever, guys. It's unbelievable how they pulled this off. And we were all a big part of that. You know, people getting out just like this, reaching out to friends and neighbors and relatives and social media. And look where we're at. We're on the edge of the real greatest accomplishment, which is not just winning an election we're not supposed to win, but eradicating this evil that's been here since Babylon, eradicating it from earth. How do you do that without God involved? And trust me, I don't think President Trump would be alive today if it wasn't for God protecting him. And we'll find out. I'm pretty sure, the last I heard, it was 11 or 12 assassination attempts on his life. That's all going to come out too. And I think there's more than that, actually. So we'll find out. The good news is that, and that's why I say there should, listen, no fear. There's nothing to fear at all. One of the things that we do here is we try and get everybody ready, not just physically with the things, the water and the food and the Litecoin and silver, the ammo. It's getting you mentally and spiritually prepared also. And especially the people here that are doing this work. You're doing God's work. You got nothing to fear. Because listen, as Christians, what's our main goal at the end here? Where do we want to go? You're going there. If you're doing this work, if you're sacrificing yourself to do this work, and something happens, I don't think there's any question where you're going to end up. So what is there to fear? I can go now. I mean, when God's ready. I want to see to the end of this thing. I want to see this thing through. But if it's my time, it's my time. You know, I did the best I could with the job he gave me. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what we've all accomplished here. You know, my goal originally, 5 years ago, I was thinking maybe I can get 100 people. You know, get 100 people on track. We've thousands now we've impacted. We've changed the lives of thousands of people at a time when it's the most important time in history. You're never going to have an opportunity like this where a single person can affect so many people in their future. Because everybody that's prepared for this, that has all the things we talked about, is going to thrive on the other side of this and then pay it forward. And then it just builds on itself, right? Once we get this ball rolling, not only are we in a world that's right off the top 90% better with this evil removed, because they've accounted for easily 90% of the violence and evil in this world is caused by these people, directly caused by these people and the things they do. So when they're removed, and then we've got people thinking about paying it forward and putting others first, what kind of world do you think we're going to have? You know, it's not like I think that there's some magical switch that's going to be flipped and we're going to get man's greatest age. It's happening because of what we're doing. That's why it's happening. That's why we're going to get into man's greatest age, because we are raising, JC keeps telling me, Jimmy Cleveland, In these times, good people are going to get better and evil people are going to get worse. And that's exactly what we're seeing. The good people are stepping up and doing these jobs. And the more people that we get on board with this, the less President Trump and the government's going to have to worry about at a very critical time. We always say, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I honestly believe we're going to get the best. But the worst is the banks close, the power goes down, the grocery stores are out of food, and there's none coming. In a week, we're in trouble. Average home has 3 days of food. Average store has 3 days of food. If the power's off, there's no water. If the stores are out of food, nobody's eating. And in a week, then it gets bad because you got hungry kids, you got to feed, and there's probably rioting and looting in the streets. Because when the banks close and the power goes off and there's no food and people can't use their bank accounts, they're not getting their pension checks, what do you think's going to happen? It's a very bad combo. And at the same time, cognitive dissonance. Because at this very same time, people are going to be learning about this satanic pedophilia. And when you start talking to people about this stuff, and you do it a lot, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Because cognitive dissonance is when brains just basically freeze up. It's like they're overlaid. It's like a computer buffering. It's so much information that they just can't take because it's so contrary to what their beliefs are. Most people don't believe that our government could be that evil. Most people don't believe the churches could be this evil. They are. They have been. 85,000 ministers in America. Think about this now. 85,000 ministers in America were signed up for the clergy response team. FEMA's clergy response team. They were basically being paid to sell out their parishioners, to get them to turn themselves into FEMA camps using Romans 13 as the way to do it. All power is granted by God. Therefore, the government who has power has the power of God, and you should obey them. Except when you start thinking about Hitler. And this was exactly what they're doing. People like me were never coming out of those camps. If they could train you to fit into the system, basically be a slave in a socialistic system, they were going to let you live. But most were not going to come out. They were going to eliminate 7 billion people. And by 2030, Agenda 21 was the first treaty that Bush signed with the UN. It's on the UN website. Look it up. Just skip to the back. Look what the bottom line is. They want a world population of 500 million. They jumped it up to 2030. So now, in less than 10 years, they want to lose 7 billion people in 10 years. How do you think they're going to do that? When the life expectancy is going up every year. They were going to start a nuclear war. That's what their plan was with North Korea. And that's all going to come out. So, for the new people, I know this is really overwhelming. You have to fight through it the best you can. That's what we're here for. You'll see on the chat, we've got a lot of great people who have been around a long time now that are here to help you. So reach out to those people. Reach out to me. My phone number is all over the internet now, or all over Facebook. You'll be able to find it or message me if you have any questions. Everybody needs to watch that video I posted. Everybody needs to buy some physical silver Litecoin, extra food, water, medical supplies, ammo. Those are the basics. And then you build on that based on what your needs are. Your personal situations are. If you live in a city, especially a liberal city, you definitely want food and water, guys. Don't put yourself in a position where your head isn't on straight because of the cognitive dissonance and your kids are screaming because they're hungry and you have no food in the house. And you got to go out of the streets when things are bad. It's not a good combo. You don't want to go there if you don't have to. So be prepared. Thrive through this instead of putting your family through a struggle. Because if it goes halfway south at all, it's going to be a struggle. And even if it goes smoothly, you may not eat every day. You know, it may have to ration stuff. It might get tight. So why do that to your family? You know, you can, for a couple $100, you know, I think last time I checked, a 50-pound bag of rice was about $30, $35. 50-pound bag of beans was about the same. You get 4, 5, 6 bags of each, depending on the size of your family. You know, it's not fancy, but you're not going to starve. And it's not going to break the bank. And I wouldn't worry about stuff that's going to last 5 years because we're not looking 5 years down the road. We're looking in the next year. So bagged rice and beans, bulk rice and beans are perfect for a solution to get a lot of food in the house for the least amount of money. When things are tight, your milk containers, your soda containers, fill them up with tap water and store them in your garage or whatever. You're going to wish you did if the power goes off and you got no more water. That's a big one. You know, you can live a couple of weeks, several weeks without food. You won't go several weeks without water. And then just the sanitation issues, right? So get ready. These things are happening for sure. You don't want to go through this not being prepared. There's no reason to go through this not being prepared. Almost everybody can do enough to put themselves in a much better position than they are right now. So don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Because when it goes, it's probably going to go pretty fast. And then it's going to get tough because it's like we've got a kind of a preview to this with all these fires in California. And just talking about the power being out for a couple of days, the store shelves were gone. You couldn't find a battery. They had hour lines to wait for gas in towns like Sonoma. Think what happens on a scale that's 1,000 times bigger than that. There's going to be a lot of panic. That's the other thing we've got to be there for. There's no reason to panic. Panic is the worst thing you can do. No matter what, do not panic. And you really have to think about this to make it happen. Just go through scenarios. You know, a group of thugs try and kick in your front door. What are you going to do? One of the dangers is, I think one of the most likely dangers they have to throw at us, because pretty much all their ammo's out. This is the deep state now I'm talking about. Are these radical Muslim sleeper cells. And that's what Benghazi was all about. Benghazi wasn't about the cartels. It was about getting the guns to the cartels so they could get them back to these training camps in America. Just for this case. So that when, like MS-13 I think is involved, and the Muslim camps. I think there was over 100 the FBI identified, never close to one. But that's where these guns were going to. The plan is to turn them loose. We have, 3 or 4 guys roll up to a mall, a church, a sporting event with fully automatic weapons and open up on the crowds. That, I think, is the most likely threat that we're going to see on the streets from these guys when the arrests start or when they know the arrests are coming. And I think President Trump's going to put out an executive order that allows concealed carry nationwide. Anybody who's legal to buy a gun will be legal to carry. wipe out all the state laws, get rid of all that crap, get rid of all the magazine restrictions, because this is going to be a war. And we're ready. I mean, look at this, the church shooting. That's what we need to do. That's how we're gonna. That's how they're not going to do it when the National Guard or the Marines or the police are around. They're going to do it when we're at our most vulnerable. Well, we're not going to be vulnerable because we're going to be ready. It's all good, guys. There's nothing to fear. Just let me make sure. I was going to get into it tonight, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to go over an hour, and I definitely will if I get into this, which is the economy and the Litecoin and the silver. I'm going to do tomorrow, at least part of the show. I'm going to dig into Litecoin and silver and what you want to buy, where you want to buy it. We always post the websites here on the chats, so you can always come back. My phone number will be in here somewhere. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. Tomorrow night, I'll get more in depth into that part of it. Let me go through questions here, see where we're at. Yeah, we got the Ledger Nano S. That's your storage device. Ledger Nano S. I'll post a link for it, guys. Is a storage device for Litecoin. It's like a thumb drive. Cynthia, how you doing? Amy, hello. Danielle, Gary. So a honeypot is like a trap where they have, when they started, they'd have a young girl and say a politician, and the older guys would get them liquored up, and then the next day he's got pictures, probably with a teenager or a boy, something like that. They use it for blackmail. So that's what a honeypot is. Epstein was running honeypots in his mansion in Florida, his mansion in New York City, Pedo Island, and his ranch in New Mexico. So over the years, there's thousands of hours. Kansas. I was so swamped today, I didn't even get on the to do my research today. So somebody, what's going on in Kansas? Amanda, how you doing? Do you turn down the volume for me, Gary? Am I screaming? My blood pressure has been going up. JC, how you doing? Rita, hello. Yes, guaranteed. McMasters, Brennan, Clapper, all going to be executed. They're all traitors. Shelly, how you doing? Danny, hello. Lisa. Susie, how are you? Big Pharma, Susie's pointing out, Big Pharma is a big part of this, guys. The trade deals. The trade deals that President Trump crushed. They were going to turn over our sovereign. They were going to turn over all that power to the corporations. They were going to be above our governments. That's what they were doing with these trade deals. That's why they wouldn't let anybody talk about them. This stuff, you can't make this stuff up. Rita's husband called who owns a pizza place. Oh, God. All you need to do, get somebody to watch this movie, this video. Everything's a rich man's trick. And everything is a rich man's trick, guys. It tells it all. Let me listen. When this goes down, This is going to be on the news worldwide 24/7. Worldwide. You won't be able to hide. You won't be able to deny it. Everyone's going to know. There will be no more arguments. At this point, don't spend too much time arguing. Plant the seed. Go ahead and get into it a little bit. Then go find somebody else. As long as you planted the seed, and for the new people, guys, planting seeds is, a lot of people think, get discouraged when they have an argument with somebody that doesn't come on board. Don't be discouraged because you just planted a seed. When it happens, when they arrest Obama or the economy collapses, that person's going to remember that conversation. And usually they're going to reach out to you because they're going to have a lot more questions. Just having the foreknowledge that they heard it before is going to make it easier for them to navigate. So you're doing good whether you realize it or not. So don't be discouraged by planting those seeds. Right now, we need to be planting a lot of seeds. Paula, how you doing? Yeah. Bilderberg. Globalist crap. Christine, how you doing? Yeah, Gary's on the right track here. I don't care if it's $10, guys. $10 could change your life. Do something. And the point I was going to make, almost anybody, listen, don't buy cigarettes for a month or go to Starbucks for a month. Do something that's going to save you that money, but don't wait. Find a way to get something into Litecoin at least, and then get as much of the junk silver, Roosevelt dimes, 1964 or older, as you can. You're going to be much better off. Trust me. Sandy, how you doing? Susan, hello. Patrick, Kathleen. That's the truth, Kathleen. So here's where we're going to have a little disagreement. Here's I got into this last night, guys, and this is a perfect example. There are several things that these people have been doing to control us. They started with the Bible. You got to learn your history of the Bible. There's good side and bad side to this. They wanted to manipulate the Bible so that they could use it to control us. Now, most people don't understand this, which blows my mind, but the Catholics and the Jews are the ones who wrote the Bible. This is a fact. No one can deny it. The Bible was put together in 330 AD at the Council of Nicaea, overseen by Emperor Constantine. He's the one, pretty much with some advisors, about what book should go into the Bible. This wasn't Jesus that decided this. This was Emperor Constantine. So you're going to find out that there have been a lot of things changed in the Bible. The most important lesson I can teach you guys is your discernment and critical thinking skills are the most important thing. When somebody tells you something contrary to living your life in the service of others, because that's God's number one message. That's his goal for the world, is that we all live our lives in the service of others. If we have a planet like that, that is heaven on earth. You may disagree with me, but you're not going to change my mind. I'm going to guarantee you in the next 2 years, well, soon, it's all going to be laid out for everyone. Let me put it this way. When this is all said and done, there will be no question that there is a God, and that there will be no question that this is his message. Man has corrupted God's church. Look at the Catholic Church, the people that wrote the New Testament. Jews wrote the Old Testament, Catholics wrote the New Testament. The good news is these people corrupted the Bible, the internet. It was all a tool. These were tools to control us. The Bible, the internet, social media were all tools to control us, and now are being turned back on them to defeat them. We're not falling for their tricks. Use the example of 9/11. Use my personal example where I was fooled by the show they put on. You have to watch what's happening. You have to question everything. You have to question me. You have to question what you see coming, because they have tricks up their sleeves yet where they're going to try some event. It could be the second coming. It could be an alien invasion. There is something coming that's going to look as real as anything you've ever seen that's going to be faked. You can't fall for it. You've got to use discernment. You've got to use your critical thinking skills. Anybody that's saying they're good but is talking about wars or harming others because of who they are, you better run. Because that's not God talking. Not my God. God wants peace on earth. God knows we've got to eradicate this evil to get it. That's what's coming. Guaranteed. Nobody's going to stop it. Don't make the mistake of your life by believing something that you were told by a pastor that's not true. And you know, because we're having this conversation, we're going to talk about the rapture. Because the people, Jews and the Catholics, don't teach the rapture. So where did it come from? The people that wrote the book don't teach it. So where did it come from? Do you know the first time it was even mentioned? I think the 1830s. So it was around for 1,500 years. And they didn't start teaching it until some pastor in England came up with it based on an obscure passage in the Bible. And here's the bottom line with this, guys. And the reason I know it's not right, because you can't believe how many Christians I've spoken to who, number one, don't vote for President Trump, and number two, don't know where this came from. And we had something else too. Listen, when I die, whatever that is, I believe I'm going straight to heaven. That's what we believe. If you lived your life the right way, God's going to take you to heaven when you die. How is that different than the rapture? See, that's what I don't get. Because the problem, this is what I was going to say. The people I get the most argument from about this are the Christians who tell me, well, God's going to protect me. God's going to take care of me. Here's what I'm going to tell you. That's me. God is sending me to warn you this is coming and to prepare for it. Read your Bible. Watchmen are here to warn of dangers coming. That's our job. We're warning you. God's message is that these dangers are coming. Be prepared for them. That's what I'm saying. It was the globalists who started the rapture because they wanted people to say the exact thing they're saying, and they set it up beautifully because it's my biggest argument I get. It's misguided. And guys, don't make this a sticking point. Keep your heads on straight. Use your critical thinking skills. Look at what people do, not what they say. Look how they're living their lives. Look at what they're doing every day. That's how you tell if somebody's working for God or working against him. And you can almost always figure it out because even the really good ones slip up. And you can see, like McCain, all these people on the inside of the government that were working against us. You can tell by their actions. Oh, they say they're conservative. They say they're Christians. And then you see them on video torturing children to death. Look at their actions. Look how they live their lives. That's how you tell. Not by what I'm telling you, by what I'm doing every single day. Do the same thing with your minister, with your politicians. Don't listen to them talk. Listen to what they do. Listen to how they live their lives. Listen to watch what they're doing every single day. And then even then, you don't let up, especially right now, because there's going to be some surprises coming, I think. Mostly good surprises for us, but things that are going to throw people off, I think. Like Mike Pence is one of them. Mike Pence is a rat. Mike Pence is a pedophile. He's going down. Most conservatives, most Republicans think he's on the ticket. They haven't announced him as a vice presidential running mate. He's not going to be the vice presidential running mate. Just wait. See what happens. Mike Pence is going down for treason and pedophilia. And again, everything I'm saying, don't believe me. A good starting place is my Facebook page. I have hundreds of articles and videos that back all this stuff up. This is all real. This is all happening. Do yourselves and your family a favor, and even if you doubt, take the extra time to dig. Watch this video that we posted today. Anybody who still would like to discuss this, I'm happy to. And I want you guys to question me. Bring it. But listen, I've done my homework. I was raised Catholic. I was an altar boy. I went to parochial school. I had probably one of the best professors I had was an ex-rabbi who taught the Bible to rabbis who were learning the Bible. Everything I'm saying is true. Everything I'm saying will come out. Within 2 years, you're going to know everything I'm saying is true. Do your homework. If you think I'm wrong, prove me wrong. If you have questions, ask me. That's what I'm here for. Listen, these churches that are 501c3, to get their tax break, they can't oppose abortion. How can you be a Christian and belong to a church that can't tell you that abortion is wrong? How can you not vote for President Trump when all of the alternatives are going to... Just think about what's going to happen to the abortion rate. And this isn't going to happen, but if it did, if President Trump was defeated. There's no options here, guys. This is what's happening. And you need to get on board with it. The tough love is coming. The people that have been warned and don't take heed, you're on your own. We've done our job. When we warn somebody and they ignore it, what happens after that is between them and God. I'm willing to die for this. I shouldn't be doing these shows. My blood pressure goes up on everyone. Yeah, David, I'm on it. Thank you. Guys, don't even listen. There's a couple of things you got to quit wasting your time with. The impeachment, don't waste your time. Don't waste another minute with it. It's garbage. It was, they know it's garbage, but when you spend a minute, they've won because they distracted you from a minute that you could have been doing something real, doing some real research. Impeachment, not going to happen. The Civil War in Virginia is not going to happen. President Trump is not going to allow anyone to take our guns, guaranteed. And if you don't know that, you need to do more homework. He'll put out an executive order before he lets that clown in Virginia take your guns, on top of the fact that the people that would be taking the guns, the National Guard and the sheriffs, have both told him to pound sand. They're not going to do it. It's unconstitutional. Not going to happen, guys. Don't waste any time. We're not going to be invaded. The UN's not going to come and take our guns. Quit falling for the distractions. If you're not focused on our mission, which is waking people up, you're playing right into their hands. Because the 10 minutes that you wasted with that crap, you might have got another person, and every person makes a difference. God wants his church in us. God is disgusted with these mega ministers that are putting billions in their pockets while they have people in the area of their flock starving in the streets. Tell me how that works. It's over. These people will all be exposed. I've got a lot on my plate right now, Danielle. Let me tell you. Natalie, how are you? Yeah, it was good, wasn't it, Lisa? Tell your friends. Listen, everyone, the two, if you want to help pay it forward, the two biggest things you can do to do that, send everyone you know that video, okay? And if you need to email it, go to the source. Go to YouTube under Jennifer Mack, and then you can email it straight to whoever you want to from YouTube. Email that video to everyone you know, and then invite them to the Watchman page. You just go to the Watchman page. There's a little blue invite button on the top right. Click on that button. Your whole friend list will come up. Invite everyone. Even if you don't think they would be on board, it doesn't hurt to invite them. They can always say no. Try it. I've been surprised by some of the people that I've invited that have showed up and actually been active members, so it's a good thing. Got nothing to lose, guys. Nothing to lose. Trevor, how you doing? You're going to have, a lot of you are talking about this. You're all going to have, we're going to be overwhelmed with our friends getting back to us when this all breaks. We got to be ready for that. Get rested up. It's going to be huge, guys, because everybody's going to be starved for information. And listen, there are no grudges. You know, I know because I've been there. People have said some horrible things. There's no hard feelings. And anybody who said those things that might be listening, I'm good. Come back. We welcome you. This is no time uh, to play into their hands and be divided. This is a time to pull together, like Americans do when we're faced with a problem. Every time in history it's happened, we've pulled together and beat it, whatever it was. Same thing's going to happen here, guys. Same thing. It's what makes America different. It's why they wanted to crush us and turn us into a third world country, because they knew we were the last hope for the world. We not only saved our constitutional republic, President Trump and God not only saved our constitutional republic, they saved the world with what happened here. Cousin Bill, how you doing? Yeah, the Catholic Church, think about this now. The Catholic Church is getting ready to announce, I think the Pope's gonna resign. And they're going to announce that I think the number is 70% of priests are homosexual and 50% have actually assaulted children, have abused children. 50%. The Catholic Church is done. The Catholic Church comes down from the inside. And God's new old church, the church that Jesus wanted 2,000 years ago, is going to be the new church that we are going to build the foundation for. So anybody who hears this calling, anybody whose goal in life is to live a better life, to be a better person, to live their life in service of others, needs to be on board. Because you're never going to have a bigger opportunity to help. Yeah, Gary's just making the point that it is absolutely true. Listen, we don't know the half of what really happened. Trust me. When these stories come out and we find out the whole story, you're going to be horrified. You know why the Pope's shoes are red? Those shoes that he wears are supposed to be made from the skin of children. Think about that. The Pope of the Catholic Church. And listen, for any real Catholics to hear some of the things coming out of this Pope's mouth, they would have strung him up 50 years ago for saying these things. They would have burned him at the stake. It's unbelievable what's happening. I hope I'm not going anywhere. Listen, I'm here till the end. I mean, I want to see this thing through. So, yeah, it's not a wish. It's just, I'm ready. I'm not afraid of dying. I think what most of us are going to find, and trust me, I'm fighting to the end, you know. But most of us are going to find, I think, when we get there, we're going to think to ourselves, why in the hell do we fight so hard to stay on earth? Because where we're going, even when we get paradise on earth, where we're going from there is going to be even better. So this is all good, guys. Again, no fear, no panic, no anxiety over this. We should all be celebrating in the streets right now for where this is headed. Yeah, the two popes, that's a good one too. Not as good as this video we got out. Okay, guys, and JC's pointing out that the Hunger Games are really it's a true story, based on a true story. I mean, just think about that. I mean, these elites, they hunt humans. They will abduct people and take them to these where these guys have hundreds of thousands of acres and turn people loose and hunt them. Yeah, that happens. That's how sick these people are. You're not going to believe the stories. I personally don't dig into it too much anymore because I don't want to, it winds me up too much. And I don't need it. I know what they did. I don't need to know every single detail. What I know is horrific enough to hang them all. Okay, guys, I went long again. But, there's just a lot going on and there's a lot coming. So, we got to do what we got to do. I am working on, with Lisa, using a lot of this. We've got over 400 hours now of Watchmen. And we're going to break it up, I think, into smaller segments and post it all over the internet. Just because the hardest thing about these are they go so long. And for a lot of people, they just don't want to commit that much time. And so we're going to work on shorter things that are going to be easier to share, easier for people to watch, make a quick point, and then hopefully get them to come back and look deeper. So that's kind of the game plan. Be as positive as you can when you're talking to your friends and relatives, neighbors. Be bold out there. Don't be intimidated. The time for that is over. We're too close to the end now. There's not much time left. We need to get as many people on board as we can. And staying positive, I mean, that's the main thing, guys. And talking people through that cognitive dissonance. You're going to see it in their eyes. You're going to hear it in their voices. You're going to be able to know. You got to back off a little bit and take it slow. And like I say, get them on the Watchmen page. Get them to watch that video. I think things will go a lot easier. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Remember, fear not. God and President Trump really are 1,000% in control. We got this thing. We just got to finish it. I'll see you tomorrow night at 5 Pacific. God bless.